A strong back is essential for preventing back pain, building functional strength, improving your posture, and promoting longevity. So here are my top 4 exercises for a strong and healthy back, but feel free to comment your own top 4 below. If you're new, my name's George, I'm an exercise scientist, and my mission with this channel is to help you live stronger for longer through kettlebell training. Okay, my first exercise is quite obvious, but it is the kettlebell row. This could be single arm or double kettlebell row. Obviously, if you have more than one kettlebell of the same weight, doing 2 hands at the same time is going to be more beneficial. But this exercise is amazing, not just for your upper back, but for your lower back as well. It does require your lower back to be engaged and get stronger over time. But this targets everything from your lats, which is the big muscle that runs down your sides. It's good for the muscles in the middle of the back, like the rhomboids. It's good for the traps, and it's good for the rear delt. So you have pretty much your whole back covered with this movement. And you can do rows either with the weights inside your knee or outside your knees. There's a slight difference to the muscles that it targets, but to be completely honest, there's not a huge difference between the two. Keep your elbows at about 45-degree angle as you bring the weight up towards your body, and then slowly lower the weights back down and feel a slight stretch in your back as you go down. Try not to use too much momentum to help you lift the weights. Try and keep all the tension on your back muscles. And if it helps you, you can exhale sharply as you get to the top of the movement. So here I'm using 2 24-kilo kettlebells, and I normally aim for about 15 reps. If you can do more than about 20 to 25 reps, you might need to increase the weight. If you can't do more than 5, you might have to decrease the weight. So this one will really help your posture by strengthening the muscles that pull your shoulder blades back, meaning you're not going to be walking around all hunched over, and that's going to help protect your spine in the long run. The second movement for a strong back is the kettlebell swing. Now this one's a slightly different one to the row, because the row is more to develop back strength and muscle size. So because of the nature of kettlebell swings, they are primarily a cardiovascular exercise, meaning you're not going to get a huge amount of muscle growth from doing them. There will obviously be some increases in strength just by the fact that you are using an external load or a weight, but it's not going to be the same as if you were doing deadlifts with a barbell and much heavier weight. What kettlebell swings are really good for though in terms of your muscles is muscular power, what I would only describe as robustness. People are always terrified about injuring their lower back, and it's a very, very common problem, especially as you age. So doing kettlebell swings, as long as you start off with a light weight and your technique is safe throughout, and then you slowly increase and build up from there, is an exercise that will increase your lower back strength, make it more robust, help support your spinal column, help support the surrounding muscles. It also makes your hips and your glutes a lot stronger and more powerful as well, which actually means that your risk of lower back pain reduces over time instead of increases over time, which is contrary to what a lot of people believe about these explosive movements that put strain on the lower back. But believe me, if you do it correctly, you do it with a light enough weight and you build up slowly enough, it is a net positive for your lower back health. When I do the swing, I keep my feet about shoulder width apart. I keep my toes pointing mostly forwards. I hike the kettlebell up between my legs, and I imagine that I'm bringing my wrists to my upper inner thigh. And then all of the power comes from the glutes. You're pushing through your hips, you're pushing through your bum in an explosive movement to drive the kettlebell out in front of you, bring it up to about chest to eye level, and then naturally letting it float back down again. I tend to aim for about 15 to 30 reps when I do this per set, and I tend to do this in an EMOM fashion. So every minute on the minute, I'll do 15 to 30 reps, rest for the remainder of the minute, and then restart again. It's a really good cardio workout that also involves the muscles around your hips and around the lower back. Okay, the third one isn't a kettlebell movement, I've talked about it before. It is pull-ups. Some people absolutely hate pull-ups, but bear with me because I'll explain why they can be so beneficial. Pull-ups are quite a risky exercise if you are new to them, which is why I'd recommend building up your base layer of strength first by doing things like rows and swings and push-ups to help build up the muscles around your shoulders and your elbow joint, because there is a lot of force that goes through these two joints when you do pull-ups. So a lot of people have shoulder issues when they do pull-ups. They think because it's a back movement that it's not going to affect their shoulder, but actually it can be very stressful on the shoulder joint. So if you have any kind of pre-existing injuries around the shoulder, around the elbow, you're probably best avoiding this, at least for now. So pull-ups are mostly an exercise that targets your mid-back, which is your lats. This can help with your posture, and not just in terms of building strength throughout your back, which is obviously involved anytime you lift up furniture, every time you carry shopping bags, anytime you pick anything up really, you are using the same muscles as you train and use when you do pull-ups. And by the way, yes, that includes your biceps. So you're not only making these muscles stronger, but you're also making them bigger. Pull-ups are an amazing exercise for gaining muscle tissue on your back. The more muscle tissue you have, the better you age and the lower risk of different metabolic diseases like diabetes you will end up having throughout your lifetime. And the fourth exercise to build a strong back is double kettlebell cleans. Now, if you don't have 2 kettlebells, just one is fine, but doing a clean either just for the sake of doing a clean or combining it with a movement like a press or a squat is also a really good way to train the back. And again, it's slightly different to rows and pull-ups, and it's slightly different to the kettlebell swing. Because yes, the clean is an explosive movement. Again, a lot of the power comes from your hips, but you are using your upper back. Your upper back is not only involved in bringing the weight up to your chest, but it's also involved in holding it there in the rack position. So whilst it's not contracting as it changes length, it does still require upper back stability and strength to hold the kettlebells in that position. So for people over the age of about 40, this movement is really, really beneficial because, as we've said, you lose the fast twitch muscle fibers, the powerful fibers of your muscle first. They're the first ones to go with age. So if you can keep them around for as long as possible, you are setting yourself up for a long and active life. And they strengthen the entire posterior chain. So it's not just a back movement. Your posterior chain involves your bum and your hamstrings as well. So it's what you call a functional movement. It involves a hip drive, it involves your core, it involves your entire back, and it also involves your hamstrings too. So again, better posture, more spinal support, and protection from back pain. And it's not just about the back benefits here, the neurological benefits are also very, very important. So learning how to do the clean teaches you timing, it teaches you control, it teaches you precision when you're bringing the kettlebells up. All of these things are really good for your brain. So there we have my top 4 exercises for a strong back for life. My advice is to pick 3 out of these 4 movements and do each one at least 2 times per week as part of your overall program. Also make sure that you're picking a weight that feels hard but not impossible. If you can do this and stick to it consistently, you will see significant gains in your posture, your back strength, and maybe even your back size. And doing these movements twice a week each means that you get enough frequency per week and enough stimulus overall to help these muscles grow bigger, stronger, and healthier, while still giving them enough time to recover in between your sessions. Let me know your top 4. Thanks for watching. See you next time.